Hey, welcome back to Get Down to Business. In today's dynamic business environment, every organization needs exceptional talent. But how do you ensure you're putting the right people in the right roles, especially when it comes to leadership? Today, that's what we're going to dive into, distinguishing between hard workers and true strategic thinkers. I'm thrilled to introduce Dr. Linda Henman, an acclaimed advisor, speaker, coach, and author, and co-author of 11 books. Dr. Henman founded Henman Performance Group, a leadership consulting firm that works with C-suite leaders from big organizations. Linda, welcome to the program. It's great to have you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. If I were to summarize and put a subject line on our conversation, it's hire strategic thinkers, not just hard workers. So, Linda, what is the fundamental difference between a high-performing individual contributor or tactical expert and a true strategic thinker?
The nature of their decisions. So strategic thinkers keep a global perspective and they concentrate on what market are we going to get into? What products do we need to prioritize? And people who are strategic thinkers know how to prioritize. Tactical thinkers, on the other hand, are very good in carrying out tasks, and they're very good at making how decisions. So once a strategic thinker says this is the way we should go, the tactical thinker can take over.
Oh, absolutely. And you have stated that too many companies promote their hardest workers into roles that demand strategic vision, only to watch them in the business struggle. Can you share a quick anonymized example where the wrong promotion actually hurt an organization?
Yes, I can. This man's name was Paul. David, the head of the company, called me in and said he was having trouble with Paul and asked me to do an assessment, which I did. And I gave him feedback and I said, Paul cannot do the job he's got. And Dave said, oh, well, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, when's the last time he was truly successful? And Dave said, 2 jobs ago. I said, put him back there. And he said, oh, that would demoralize him. And I said, he'd rather have a paycheck than pride. He's got a sick wife and 5 kids. So they put Paul back, and then Paul's shown again. And he has been kind of at that level ever until retirement.
And Linda, you have argued that you can't train someone into being a strategic leader if they don't have the wiring for it. So why? Why is strategic thinking an innate ability? And why isn't more coaching or training the answer for those without it?
Well, you can certainly, I love coaching strategic thinkers because I shine up what they've already got. But I liken it to musical talent. I took a lot of piano lessons and nobody asked me to play the piano because I don't have any talent. So strategic thinkers are born with a lot of their talent of seeing the big picture, prioritizing, and getting to the core of unfamiliar problems.
Interesting. Very interesting. So what are some of the most important traits or moves that differentiate a strategic leader? How can leaders reliably spot those traits before they hire or promote someone into a strategic role?
Well, I've narrowed it down to 3 questions. The first one is, can this person separate what from how? And that means they need to prioritize accordingly. Second question, can this person respond to sudden, unexpected, unwelcome change? And third, can this person get to the core of a complex, unfamiliar problem without getting distracted by too many details?
That's so interesting. And so going back to our conversation a moment ago about strategic thinking, if it can't be trained from scratch, how should companies balance the need for both the tactical experts and strategic leaders within their organizational structure?
Well, they should hire me, but if they don't have time to do that, then the next best thing is to delegate decisions along with tasks. So tactical thinkers can take care of a task and they can make really good decisions that rely on detail orientation. So if you're thinking of getting somebody ready for promotion, delegate strategic decisions to that person along with the authority to carry them out. And that is the best way to observe how this person is on the job. But be careful. Do it one decision at a time.
I love it. I'm chatting with Dr. Linda Henman, and Linda has a really fascinating organization. The Henman Performance Group has been involved in 11 books and has just a wealth of knowledge and experience. So indeed, Linda, yes, they should hire you, and we're going to make sure that our listeners can get in touch with you. And of course, find your new book, which is Healthy Decisions, Critical Thinking Skills for Healthcare Executives. We're going to focus on that in a couple of minutes. But lastly, before we cut to break, I know that you have talked about avoiding demoralizing teams by forcing people into the wrong positions. How can organizations build environments where everyone can play to their strengths, whether they are tactical or strategic?
Absolutely. That's the key of knowing what your people are.
Absolutely. And so for a business leader listening today who's struggling with team morale or missed opportunities due to the mismatched role, what do you think, beyond calling you, is the single most important actionable step that they should take right now?
Start delegating. And that's the best way, as I said before, to test people, to see how they do with the decisions. What I see so often in my consulting and coaching is that people will readily delegate tasks, but they don't delegate the decisions and the authority to carry them out.
Your PhD research on American prisoner of war resilience and their pivotal decision making during imprisonment guides a lot of your work. What can business leaders learn from this research about high stakes leadership and making tough decisions today?
Well, my dissertation is really what got me on the path to understanding leaders, leadership, and more importantly, decision making. Because these guys who are in captivity in the North, are prisoners of war, had to make decisions that nobody had taught them how to make. And in fact, Admiral Stockdale had to counter a rule that was made after the Korean War about what will happen if they torture you. Admiral Stockdale expected to be discharged when at the end of the war. Of course, he wasn't. He wasn't an admiral, then he was a captain. He went on to become an admiral, and he was Ross Perot's vice presidential candidate.
Indeed, there's so much to learn. And Linda, you have been learning throughout your career. I know you have decades of advising C-suite leaders at Fortune 500 companies like Avon, Estee Lauder, Tyson Foods. So Linda, what is a common strategic challenge that you've seen across these diverse organizations, and how have your strategies helped them overcome it?
They've got to decide who they want to be. So I am so often involved in M&A deals, and the worst reason to acquire another company is because you want to get bigger. You acquire another company because they have a product or they have a service or they have workers that you need in order to fulfill your mission. But when I work in healthcare, I find that there's a mistake when people feel as though they're torn between mission and margins. And when I tell them that not for profit doesn't mean not for money, it means not for profit. It's a tax designation, not a strategy. And the other thing I tell my healthcare clients is, if you don't have the margins, you won't have the mission.
True, absolutely. There's so much great advice that's packed into this book, Healthy Decisions, Critical Thinking Skills for Healthcare Executives. You've written quite a few books. While this one focuses on healthcare, what's one universal critical thinking skill from the book that you think applies to leaders in any industry and all of our listeners?
Well, Healthy Decisions is about 50% healthcare because the examples I use are all healthcare. But the other part of the book is relevant to any leader. But I use the book prior to that called Risky Business. And so for someone who's not in healthcare, I would steer them toward Risky Business. Both are available on Amazon.
That's fantastic. Again, I've been chatting with Dr. Linda Henman. Linda, you have done some fascinating PhD research. You've written so many great books. And of course, you've got the Henman Performance Group. And I want to make sure our listeners can get in touch with you and continue learning from you. How can they do so?
I think email is probably the best way. So if you want to go to Linda at Henman, HENMAN performancegroup.com and shoot me an email. I'd be happy to answer questions. And the other way is to look at my website and see the different services that I offer and how I interact with clients. And that is simply henmanperformancegroup.com.
Fantastic. Dr. Linda Henman, thank you so much for joining us on the air. That's a wrap for us this week on Get Down to Business. We are the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. We've been on the air for over 12 years. We've got hundreds of conversations. They're available on my website, syklein.com. And indeed, I love to hear from our listeners. I want to hear what's on your mind. What are some of the trends that you're seeing in your industries and your businesses? And I respond to every single email. So get in touch, syklein.com. There's a contact page, and I look forward to hearing from you. You can also go on your favorite podcast app. That's where these conversations today are going to be archived. You'll also, if you subscribe, rate, review, and share, you'll be notified of upcoming shows. But for now, to success, let's get down to business. We'll see you next week.